Hey, Mark here. I have something really fun for you. I have 5 digital copies of the 2024 action film The Silent Hour up for grabs. And if you'd like a copy, just message me and be like, hey, Mark, I would like to enter for a chance to win a digital copy of The Silent Hour. So, The Silent Hour is new today on digital. Joe Kinnaman stars as a detective guarding a deaf witness marked for death after seeing a gang murder. Trapped by the killers, they have to outsmart them to survive. Buy or rent The Silent Hour now, rated R, from Republic Pictures. Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is someone who hates it when he gets into a tunnel wrestling match with an infamous serial killer, and they look him in the eye, and they're like, I could mentor this kid. It's Nick Rehak.
That is me. And the worst part is I wear glasses. So that's 4 eyes. That's 2 sets. And if you look in either one, not happy about it, not pleased.
If a fictional serial killer looks you in the eyes and is like, yeah, that's not good.
No, I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I'm truly concerned, especially when it's a murdering psychopath, maybe unhuman creature person. And it's like, what do you see in me that's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Or if it's like a Hannibal Lecter type, something that's like just a creepy person that kills and eats people. I don't want to be associated with anything like that. Like, that's just such a weird thing.
Like, I'll be like, thank you for not murdering me.
Oh, yeah, that's first and foremost. Thank you.
And I'll come visit you. But
also I'm moving.
Yeah. Let's not. Like, I'm not going to further your legacy.
Don't tag me in.
Like, you see something in me, not a lot of people do. So it's kind of tempting. Like, I see how like cults can get people, but not this time. Not again.
No, I got grit, but we're not doing.
I gotta tell you something. I watch Halloween Ends again, and the cinematography from Michael Simmons is gorgeous. This movie looks amazing. And I kept looking at it and just like loving the framing, the tunnel fight, just the neon, those shots, like even in the diners, it's such a beautiful to look at film. And if I had to rank David Gordon Green's new trilogy, I would go 3, 2, 1. So I would put Ends, Kills, and then Remake in my order.
Oh, okay.
What would you have?
If I didn't go 1, 2, 3, I would go 2, 1, 3.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you're not a threer.
I am not a threer. Like, at all.
I really like Halloween Ends. A lot of people are like, just because a movie's divisive doesn't mean it's good, or just because the director didn't follow, but for me, like, it works. I don't know why. I think because I already revere Halloween H2O, and that featured the definitive Laurie versus Michael battle, that I didn't need that again. And Halloween 2018 was a rebookable of all rebookables, which was like a remake sequel. And Halloween Kills went off the rails. Like, it
really did. The
rails were off. And it's just it's silly. It's like, hey, mob justice is bad. And you're like, yeah. And like Laurie, like Halloween, the original Halloween 2, she's in the bed the whole time. And then she's like, Michael, his force is gonna kill it. And you're like, what? And just there's silly characters, and there's like Big Al, and there's just a whole bunch of shenanigans in it. So I didn't want that. I was like, all right, David Gordon Green's on something here. Like, he's not with it. And he's with it, but he's not giving people what they want. So when I watched it, like this movie, and I mean, listen, like everyone hates Laurie and blames her for things. That's not good. And the incredibly angry band bullies are a lot. But I think the acting by Roland Campbell is really good. I think the cinematography is excellent. Like, tunnel fight is great. I just like, I don't know. It's not what people want. It's not a Halloween film, but I like it. I do. I like it.
I think if they would have made it more of an anthology thing, like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and then kind of spliced that Michael Myers story in there, I think it would have been more successful, because it could be sold like that. You know what I mean? A tale of 3 different people and how, some actions are very much like Michael, some are very much like Laurie, and who's in the right, who's in the wrong kind of thing. And you throw something else in there with it, that would make sense. But when you see the trailers, there is no hint of anything else that's going on, like at all.
No.
What's really interesting, and this could be an entirely different podcast conversation to have. Films lately that have been revisiting lore and revisiting stories and worlds that we like. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the animated stuff that was on Netflix. He-Man, the stuff that was on Netflix. The recent Mean Girls that nobody knew was a musical until you
That's
got
not on
there.
Netflix.
And that's not on Netflix. But the other two stuff are. And it's that thing where we see that main character and then we just don't see him again until maybe the second to last episode and then last episode. Like there's this weird thing where a lot of media shifted to where we're bringing you in with the main character. We're going to look at something completely different and then bring you back, which I'm fine with, but you got to tell people up front because that's what, you know what I mean, shifts them one way or the other of like, hey, that's really cool, or nah, that's not for me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's been a marketing thing since probably when The Witch came out, maybe like 2014, where we have a lot more like art house horror films, but
For sure.
The poor marketers who have to show the trailers for it are like, oh no, how do I market it? Comes at night, and so they make them seem like thrillers or whatever, or He-Man or any of that, and then you get that, and I think it is shocking. So yeah, I think if David Gordon Green would have been like, listen, this is more about Rohan Campbell's Corey character and how Michael creates evil, yeah. But I mean, I guess for me, so I've had to watch the Halloween franchise multiple times for multiple assignments. I tracked everywhere he went in Halloween. I figured out he had to stop for gas 7 times in Halloween H2O when he drove from like Illinois to California. I tracked his entire journey. I had to count every kill, every escape, how long it took him to kill people, how long the final fight was. I've had to do that probably 3 times for Rotten Tomatoes. I've had to do that a definitive one for who did I do that for? A definitive one for Fandom, and then I had to write another one for Film Theory. And so for me, it's like this franchise has always been so uneven. Yeah. I mean, there's so many. Okay, so it's 1 2018 that trilogy, then it's 1 2 Halloween H2O Resurrection, and then it's 1 2 3 4 5 6. That's a timeline. And then there's the Rob Zombie movie timeline. Like there's so many different timelines. And then there's Halloween 3. So it's like, this is a franchise that has never figured out Michael. It's like Michael's into, John Carpenter hates the second one. He's like, it's a stupid cash grab. The third one is just the Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 are their own trilogy. And you get Rob Zombie, who's like, Michael was abused. He's evil. The second one,
Michael was a race car driver.
Yeah, he ain't first or last. And I like Halloween 2 though. The visuals are good, but they're nasty. And then it's like, hey, well, and then they're like, oh, well, we're not going to count the other ones, and we're going to say that 1 2 is alive. Then he's the brother. He's not the brother. So this franchise has never, ever, ever. It doesn't care. It's like, and it doesn't even know what it's doing. Hey, Michael's in a cult. You're like, what? Like, he's what? He's part of a cult, and they're trying to impregnate his sister, his cousin, his niece, and he's going to do it. Like, it's just yikes. And so I guess I'm very lenient when it comes to Halloween movies. So if this was Chucky, Don Mancini's guided that whole thing. So if this was actually the remake, you're like, what is this? But I think if they made another official Chucky movie without like an AI droid, I would be more shocked. But for this one, I'm like, give me it. Like, give me something different, because Michael's never been the same in any movie. So like in 4, they introduced the great Rachel, and then they just kill her off, and then Tina's the character, and you're like, what is happening? So all that being said, for me, the Halloween movies are, they don't just give me something interesting, and that's what I feel like Halloween Ends is.
It for sure does that. It does make it interesting, and it is a weird like breath of fresh air. But I think there just needs to be a better presentation for it, because Halloween Kills feels very clunky.
Oh, it's like it's a pothole road.
Yeah,
on a highway, and you're riding a 1989 Taurus with a bad suspension.
The worst suspension, and it's that weird green color too, and no one liked you know exactly which one I'm talking about with that laugh. Yeah. The same green they had on the Expeditions, the Eddie Bauer editions.
Oh gosh.
But with that film, I mean, I do agree that Ends is gorgeous looking, because when you watch something like Kills, anytime it's like Laurie and her family, the screen is like this bluish gray,
It
right?
looks
It's
like
just a
crap.
very dark, it kind of, yeah, pretty much. But then when it's like Anthony Michael Hall's character and all those, it's this weird, like brighter, orangey kind of color, and it's just very uneven. This film, to me, feels a little uneven, and it's like, okay, we're done talking about this. Now we're going to talk about this. And we're done. There's not like there's a smooth flow throughout. It's just kind of like they had an idea for a film and then shoehorned some Michael stuff in there and just kind of made it work. I think it's a stronger story without the Mike Myers stuff. Now, I don't know how you go around doing that kind of thing, but I think it's stronger without it.
Yeah. If it didn't look so great, and if Rohan Campbell wasn't so good, and I
Mm-hmm.
think Allison, Andy Matichak's really good in it. And listen, I don't know why so many people are mad at Laurie Strode. She got attacked
Yeah, I
once.
don't get that.
She got attacked once in 1978. Then a stupid doctor is like, I'm going to let him loose in 2018. And she's hanging out. She does nothing wrong. Nothing. Nothing.
She's
And
at a
then
grocery store and people
this,
are accosting her.
and the second one, she's in hospital the whole time and her daughter's killed. And then people are like, you did this to us. So I don't understand that. I don't. That's a part in the movie where I'm like, eesh. But there's a lot of glass crushing in this movie for some
So
reason.
much glass crushing.
Lot of glass crushing, but
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. I love it when you have this movie, right? And you're just looking at it like, this is beautiful. This kid, that Rohan Campbell, Corey, he's in the Sabrina Carpenter Taste video with Jenna Ortega and her. Like, they love that movie. Like, this movie is like emo, and it's like, it's just an odd film. And I think they're trying to go for kind of an It type vibe where the entire town just sucks now. Like an It, and when It,
Okay.
like Pennywise, just everyone's horrible in that Stephen King movie
Mm-hmm.
because Pennywise has like infected it. Like, it's an infected town, and I feel like Haddonfield is infected in
Mm-hmm.
this movie because everyone's a jerk
Yeah.
except for my homeboy Will Patton. He'll never be a jerk. Even when he's a jerk, playing a jerk, he's not a jerk. And I think that's the vibe that this film's like. Even the band people are just horrifying, and like everyone's mean. Moms are mean. Everyone's mean. The dad's kind of cool though for the kid who dies. The
Mm-hmm.
kid's terrible that he's babysitting. So I think it's an infected town. Does it work? No. Really? Does it add anything? But I didn't need another standoff between Michael and Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because the first one had that.
Right. Right.
Uh, and I just, it's kind of crazy. It's like, I don't think I could ever, I think this movie has its faults, but I don't know. I was really entranced by it. Like when Megan came home after I watched it in 2022, and I was like, watch this tunnel scene. And like I made her watch a tunnel scene. She's like, great, this is out of context. It looks good. And then she watched it again recently with me and liked it. And like, she's like, yeah, it's like a really good looking movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have an interesting relationship with I think the Halloween franchise is maybe my least favorite of all the major franchises because of how disjointed it is.
Mm.
But I watched Halloween H2O in a theater when I was 16, and it was like one of my favorite Halloween watching experiences ever. I
Mm.
still feel dirty from Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like I watched Halloween in high school, like on
Mm-hmm.
a date. And the franchise has always been a part of my life, but I just don't like how disjointed it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so at least, like 4, 5, and 6, there's good moments to them, but they're very clunky and they're very cheap. So it's nice to watch something that at least looked really good.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with they don't really have rules for the character.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean? It's not like one of those, Michael always has to have the mask on. Michael only uses knives. Michael can only move so quickly. There's really no set guidelines
He
to
can
that.
drive.
So, yeah. So, and I always forget about that. Every time he's doing, I'm like, why would he? And then I'm like, no, even in the first movie, one of the first things he's doing is drive. So yeah. So it's, it's just one of those things where I think when we see him do something intense, like grabbing a light fixture and stabbing somebody with that, or doing anything that's not knife based, or just taking someone's head and ramming it between posts on a railing in a banister situation, it kind of sticks out because it's like, wait, he doesn't do that. But then it becomes, well, he does because he's done it here and there, but not all the time. So where does he land? And then do you take too many artistic liberties? Do you put him in situations that he really would not normally be in? You know what I mean? Is he the type to kind of squirrel away into the sewer, kind of rebuild his strength, and then emerge again? We don't know because it's kind of the first time we're exploring that idea.
We did
But
that in 5 and
because
6. Sorry.
they did,
Yeah.
okay.
A hermit brought him back to life, and then he killed the hermit.
That makes sense because he kind of did that in the most recent trilogy. Anybody that was helping him out, he was like, "Thanks, dead." He didn't say thanks, but he just kind of he tilted his head in the other direction. One way
Yeah.
means no, one way means yes, and he was like, "Yeah, thanks, dead
Like he starts
anyway."
turning. No, not that way. Not that way.
No, no, no. He moves his head back and forth like Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator, just like boom, thumbs up or down, and he's just like, "And nope, oh no, dead,
And
dead."
sorry to interrupt you there.
No, no,
But
no,
yeah,
you're fine.
the rules are crazy because
Yeah.
if we're sticking with this timeline, he's a dude, but he's a very powerful dude. So I don't even know what his powers are in this new one, but he has powers. In the H2O timeline, he's essentially immortal and he can drive,
Mm-hmm.
and he has both his eyes shot out, by the way.
As you do.
And the other one, he's part of a cult. He's the tool of a cult.
Mm-hmm.
With Rob Zombie, he's just an angry Hulk who's dealing with family crap. And so yeah, there's no rules. There's like it's not Outback Steakhouse, no rules, just right. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
no rules, not right.
No rules, and we don't even know what's going on. You know what I mean? You ask for a bloomin' onion, and what do you get? Deep fried apple slices. And it's like, hey, this I'm crunching into this. I'm enjoying the crunch, but oh, there's no spice. Oh, also it's tart because it's an apple. Oh, you got Granny Smith apples, and I'm more of a red delicious kind of guy. So there's positives, but there's more negatives than
This
positives.
isn't what I wanted, right? Like
Exactly.
it's like you order a shot and they bring you gin and you just slug gin and you're like, wait,
They just remove that little silver topper thing to better measure out, and they just pour it, and it makes the cartoon noise. You're like, glug, 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 as you're drinking it.
this tastes like juniper.
This
Yeah,
is weird.
I thought I was getting Tito's, but yeah, there's nothing, there's no rule, so you don't need rules for
Right.
this. It's insane. I don't. This franchise has done its best to destroy Michael Myers, but
Yeah.
that core idea is so good.
Repeatedly.
The core idea is so good
Mhm.
that he just keeps coming back because Michael Myers is. But the thing is, Michael Myers is not an interesting character. Like Michael Myers, you know what's funny in Halloween? He's a jerk. Like there's that scene where he's watching her in the classroom. She looks back, Laurie goes back to talk, and Michael Myers, I timed it. He sprints around his station wagon, gets back in, and floors it to like get away, so he's not there. When she looks, like he's like a just he's like hunting her, and he's weird and he's curious,
Mhm. Yeah.
and then nothing like that ever again. And
Well, it's a predator stalking its prey, right? It's the hunter setting up a camera to watch the deer and figure out, oh, they feed it this time. Oh, there's how many of them around. That's all Michael's doing. He's hunting. He's
ooh,
checking out the ground. He's seeing, okay, this is where she goes every day. If I learn what she does, I know how to then destroy, which is a terrifying concept to have. I think they should. Here's if I had to pitch a new Halloween, here's my pitch. Halloween and then the year after it. You do Halloween 1989. You have similar characters and a Mike Myers character, and it's just happening in the 80s. You do Halloween like 1720, and we're in like the American Revolution times, right? And there's a Michael Myers character, and it's just happening. You know what I mean? 1860s. Maybe it's in the backdrop of the Civil War. I think it was the 60s. Maybe it was the 1840s. But still,
60s.
you yeah, you just put him in these positions. And again, you still have like this Laurie-esque character who's like, oh, it's my brother and he's got some problems. And you're able to do different things with it. Like when you're in the 1700s, you're not beholden to certain technologies. So you can really dial it back and push it more as a character piece and really build that dread a la the witch. If you do it in the 1860s, again, with that Civil War backdrop, you can make it this swirling drama where the boy is just kind of forgotten about, or he's trying to get into the war. He fakes his age, and then boom, he's getting shot and becomes this thing and then tears it apart because he doesn't understand war. It could be one of those parable kind of things. But I think that would be the way to go. Just say, you know what I mean? Put him in all these different situations. And then if you want to get bonkers, make a fourth film where there's just this mad scientist making Michaels and putting them in time machines.
Sending you back.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it would make just as much sense
Mhm.
as what we have now. I mean, Michael, I think the idea, John Carpenter was so smart,
Mhm.
but I also think he was a little naive. Like, you don't create something like that and be like, oh, there's never going to be a sequel. I'm like, come on, guys.
You
Like,
can't do a one and done. I
yeah.
mean, you can with the thing, but something like Halloween, it's too enticing. With the thing, how many times can you go to a remote location Oh no, something's there. Oh no, it's hunting us one by one. You got to make it and be a little more creative with that.
And just murder Rob Bottin with making him do special effects like that every year for the rest of his. Just
Yeah. Hey,
make him
remember
look
what
as
we
good
did
as
with
the
the
first
dog?
one. Yeah.
Remember what we did with the dog? We're doing it with an alligator.
Oh, Florida thing,
Yeah.
swamp thing.
Oh, it's all it is the thing in the bayou.
Swamp.
They're at a research center trying to figure out like hurricane stuff and the
Whoa.
tides and how to like where to plant trees to create a natural barrier to dial back some of the damage that could happen. Yeah, dude. Something about an oil spill that mixed with something else and the animals are drinking it in and all of a sudden they're, alligators with like hands for eyes.
Swamp Thing. We're
Mm-hmm.
associate producers if that ever gets made. But it's I know we're talking about Halloween Ends today.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're gonna get into the kitchen fight and see if it's Michelin star worthy or not. But I just find this movie to be very interesting, Nick. I think it's once again, I think it's gorgeous looking. I don't like I listen to the commentary and I still don't know what's going on in David Gordon's Green's head when he made this. Like I've been watching him since George Washington and all the real girls
Mm-hmm.
and like I've been a big fan of his for a long time and I don't know what he was trying to do here. Like, I don't get it. Like I feel like it was self-sabotage to a certain extent. But a movie doesn't look this great if they're trying to do if they're trying to just wreck the franchise. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know what he was trying to do. what what was he trying to do? Like what's the arc of this trilogy?
Well, I think the arc is you reestablish the characters and what had happened. And you're like, hey, don't forget Michael's a bad dude. And then you get to a point where it ends. And I love the fact that the second one basically picks up. They're in the back of the truck. They're heading to the hospital. All of a sudden, there goes the fire trucks, and they're losing their mind. They're like, there's no possible way. And then it just turns into John Wick.
Yeah.
Like, truly, he comes out and he's just sizing everybody up, and then wow, all these different moves and stuff. He's slicing throats, he's cutting limbs, and just somehow survives. And it's like, okay, so is the second one is it a parody now? Is it a satire? Because there are some statements that are made that if they were told with just a little bit different of inflection, you're setting up a joke for a punchline. I mean, in the beginning, right? There's a guy like, there's a dead dog in here. What? Nothing. And he just walks away. Like, what is that moment? We're not going to go back and look at the dead dog. Like, what are you doing with that? And he just goes through, keeps on killing, and we're like, all right, we get it. Halloween Kills. And then was a third one. It ends because, yeah, spoilers. He ends up dying. We think we'll never really know because I'm sure at the very end of the credits you heard like weird breathing or
In the
footsteps or
glass.
something. Yeah, or like a foot stepping on glass or something. But I think with this, it was like, yeah, here's evil that's come back, and is it always going to take the same form? Is it always going to? Does it affect everybody the same way? How are people going to react in certain situations? How can we show Michael Myers from a different point of view? And you try that in ends. And I just think the problem was just marketing. I've rewatched Halloween Kills, and in preparation for this as well as Halloween Ends. It's so same with Michael's killing people. But then to have that slip into ends, it should feel like a breath of fresh air. But you're just so into he's killing people and that's all we're doing. And then it's like, bam,
It's
here's
not.
this hard right. And it's like, okay, we're introducing this character, but it's not like there was a foreshadowing from the second one, or there's no real hint of where it's going to go. It feels like it just so happens kind of thing.
Do you think David Gordon Green likes the character of Michael Myers? Because in Halloween, he took all agency away from Michael Myers. Michael Myers didn't escape. Michael Myers gets dumped out from a doctor. Later on, he gets hit by a car
Mm-hmm.
and is dead to rights. And then they put him back in the car and drive him to Laurie's, where he loses a fight. Halloween Kills, they're like, he's unstoppable. He can kill everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then Halloween Ends, he's just an old wheezing dude who gets beat up by a kid in a tunnel. And I kind of wonder if he likes the character of Michael Myers.
I think he does, but I think he's using Michael as a vessel to tell a completely different story. Because if you have someone that's picked on and beaten, what are they going to do? They're going to do one of two things. They're just going to be that broken character and not have that aha moment like George McFly when he's punching out Biff and all of a sudden he gets all that confidence, right? He stays that broken character. or he builds such immense strength. He becomes such a towering figure that no one's ever going to pick on him ever again. And
Yeah.
so he just uses that force and just lets everybody know, no, you're not doing this to me anymore. And in fact, I'm going to unleash the punishment and the hurt and the trauma that I feel on all of you. And there's no stopping me because he pushes it too far.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and maybe he gets a taste for it after a while and that develops, blah, blah, blah. But then at the end, when he is that wheezing old man, it's like, what was it all for? And in this case, it's he's passing it on to someone else or he's adding on to this legacy. But what was it all for? It was for nothing. He
Yeah.
killed these people because he just had a bad run of it. That's a weird thing to say, but that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. I still love it though. I don't care.
This was my first time watching Kills and Ends, and I think if I took some time and then rewatched them, knowing what I know, I there might be a better appreciation for 2 and 3. I'm not saying I hate 2 and 3. They're just of the three, they're not my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I think there would be a better appreciation that's developed, and I'd be able to, okay, remove myself from the whole wondering what's going on in the movie and where these characters are, why we focus on this kid, and more of like actually paying attention to the story. Because I guarantee you, people in the theaters, they're watching it, they're not really paying attention to the story. They're like, where's Michael at? When's he going to show back up? Okay, cool, Laurie's back. Oh, she's just talking to some dude as if it's like a rom-com. And it's like, okay, but where's Michael? Where's Michael?
Yeah, you know what I've noticed about myself when it comes to
Mhm.
movies lately is, and just in general, I adapt really easy to my surroundings.
Mhm.
So like marketing, I don't think has ever affected me, or like
Mhm.
preconceived notions have never. I think they've only gotten me a couple times, but when I go into a movie, I feel like I'm able just to roll with it and like feel it. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that I can't like uh, look at the flaws of films. I
Mhm.
think that's why I appreciate ends because I never had that. What is this? What is this? Why is this? And I was able to just
Mhm.
be like, hey, this is different. And then I just sat with it. And I think that's one of the things that I guess I like about how I watch movies
Mhm.
is I love Lisa Leahy. She's a guest on the show. And she said that when she used to watch trailers, she would be swayed greatly about the movies and then go in,
Mhm.
they weren't it. So then she stopped watching trailers because she hates watching trailers because they set up her preconceived notions, they set up expectations. And I feel like every decent horror movie since 2014 has been like, it's the scariest movie ever. And then people go watch it like, no, it's not. Like that's I guess for me, what I'm saying is I don't pay attention to any of that. And I feel like I can
Mhm.
just sit with the movie. So maybe
Mhm.
that's why I really appreciated Halloween Ends, is because I didn't really have any of the baggage from the other films, and I wasn't particularly a fan of the other two. So I just was able to I don't does that make sense, Nick? Like I was
No,
able to just
absolutely.
roll with it.
Yeah. And some films can do that because I think some films with their trailers, they do a better job. Some trailers do a really good job of conveying the tone of a film rather than like the story and the plot. Some lean a little too heavy into the story and plot and show you like two out of the three big moments in the film to get your attention and be like, oh, what's the context? I feel like a lot of trailers nowadays, we go because we're trying to figure out the context to what we just got shown in the trailer because a lot of it is like super quick images. They're synced up to a song that you haven't heard in a while and it's sung by somebody else. And you're like, okay, I guess that's kind of cool. And then you go in and you're like, okay, is it going to match that energy? And sometimes it doesn't. I sometimes wish that I would have gone into like film editing and become like someone that does the trailers because I would cut things completely different. The trailer for Looper, for example, all it should be is the opening scene where he's just kind of sitting there looking at his watch, waiting, kind of kicking around doing his thing. And then as soon as he gets ready and a body shows up, just as he goes to pull the trigger, boom, Looper, date. That's it. I'm not telling you anything else. Now you want to see the movie because you're so fascinating. For Mandy, the only thing I would have done is had the bathroom, Nick Cage walking in, having a complete and mental collapse, and then just Mandy. Here's the date and time. Like, what is going on? I have to go see this movie now. If you bring people in with just these feelings and emotions, they have, I think, a better sense and they'd be able to roll with it a lot better because they know, hey, this is a kind of human drama. You know what I mean? Like if you look at something like Titane, you're like, okay, I know it's going to be kind of wackadoo, because of the imagery and stuff like that. And when you see it, once you separate the car stuff, there's this really beautiful borderline absurdist family drama
Yeah.
that packs punches hard. but they throw this other stuff in there with it to really get your attention. And that's fine and all, but I don't know, just give me the emotion of what you're trying, and then I'll go in and figure out their story. But if I know the tone, you know what I mean? It
So
feels
give me
better.
the tone. Let me have an idea, like unlike the Drive trailers that were like this summer, Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan
Mm-hmm.
are going to be in a couple. Yeah, just
Yeah.
give us a no. I like that. I like that a lot. And I do have a theory about movie trailers that show everything. Like I know when a movie's not going to be good because the trailers give away everything because they're
Mm-hmm.
just desperate to get butts and seats before the cinema scores come out. But I think you're right. Like just let people know the tone. You don't have to get rid of. You don't have to give away everything. But you know what's interesting too. Like this movie wasn't expensive to make. Like Titan was not expensive to make, so you can
Mm-hmm.
be more experimental with their trailers.
Yeah.
I think when you make a giant film, you got to give like everything away because you're trying to get butts and seats.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this movie could have easily, like, because they market it as ends, like this is going to end. This is their
Yeah.
final battle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that.
No.
Um, but it's a kitchen fight, so it made everything good for me. Maybe that's why I love it so much, Nick, is because we're going to talk about the kitchen fight.
Could be. Could
And
be.
you know what I love about the Halloween franchise too? And I know I just got off of trailers, but how do you convey the sense of this film though? Like, hey, this is not about Michael; it's about another kid. But that was part of the fun of this because I don't think I watched the trailer until I'm like, oh, we're with this kid now. I'm like, oh, okay, like I'll roll with this. And then he just gets killed, and then we get a kitchen fight at the end.
If it's me, I'm painting the third film as kind of a it's gonna sound like a weird, like a Godfather 2 comparison, right? You have footage of Mike Myers as a kid getting kicked around, beat up, and then here's modern day footage of this kid getting kicked around and beat up. Here's footage of, Mike Myers kind of finding his strength and who he is. Here's footage of this kid doing the same thing. And then having the two kind of meet, it's like, this is fascinating because is this a story of like Michael Myers in his teenage years? Is this a story of Michael Myers like bringing someone into the fold? It's ends. It's not new beginnings, or it's the end of something in the beginning of something else, sure, but it's still there's an end to it, right? Because we see the birth and then kind of the almost death of these characters within the trailer. Because again, we're just back and forthing like, hey, this guy's like Mike's like this guy, and back and so forth. Then you throw in some of the Laurie stuff and maybe some lines of like, good versus evil. Does good always triumph? Sometimes it's evil. What happens when evil triumphs? How does it affect everybody? And then it builds from there. The thing of it is, it's not like this is a revenge film. This is just a guy that's like kind of fed up with everything. Not maybe similar to like Falling Down, but like just he's really bent up out of shape, and he's expressing that through violence. Right. If it was a revenge thing and he's looking to Michael, like, okay, how do you kill? Because that's how I'm going to kill these people that murdered, my dog or something like that. But it's not that film. So you can't really spin the revenge angle.
Mm-mm. No
And that's where
revenge.
it gets a little tough too.
They should have called it Halloween. Somebody's beginning comes from some other beginning's end.
Halloween full Sonic.
Closing time. Oh, you're listen. I need to start getting you making trailers. Trailers by Nick.
Dude, I really should just get like some kind of inexpensive software, figure out a way to download movie clips and stuff, and just have fun doing it. Because people put fan made trailers up all the time. Like like
I'll
for
post
Dune
them.
2. When Dune Part 2 came out, it should have just been a title card. Dune Part 2, here's the date. They know we're gonna see it.
Yeah.
Dune Part 1 was astounding. Just give me the date and I will be there.
I don't want to see. Yeah, yeah, they definitely wreck some of the epic moments from it,
Mhm.
for sure. But you got to get butts and seats. Like I think the way you and I look at trailers are not the way other people look at trailers. Like you and I
That's
love
true.
films. We're cinephiles. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people just go to movies, right? Let's
Mhm.
go to the movie. So I think you need it. Like Hollywood needs money, and I think
Mhm.
maybe they figured out that trailers help. And so you like, and also too, every trailer you put out gets shared. Every teaser trailer gets shared. Every teaser trailer for the teaser trailer gets shared. So it's like creating more mentions across the internet and raising more
Mhm.
awareness. So it's, it's what you don't want the movie spoiled, but also people want the movie out there getting talked about. So
Yeah.
it's just capitalism.
It's a dance, and
Yeah.
sometimes the dance works, and sometimes it's like could have been
Sometimes it's the
better.
Macarena.
Yeah, like I know I'm gonna go see the new Nosferatu film. All you had to tell me was who's directing it and who's gonna be it, and I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the trailer recently, and I'm like, this is a perfect example of let's capture this tone, let's float a whisper of what it will represent thematically, and then that's all you need. There's no big like flash of lightning and you see him or anything like no. It's just it's very well done. It pays homage to both the original and kind of gives it some updates, if you will. I'm really hoping we get to see the Max Shrek stunt person rig, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
I just wanted great coats.
Okay.
Max Shrek has great coats.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Nosferatu, Count Orlok had some
Yeah.
coats. Are there good coats in it?
Well, you don't see the character.
Wow.
There's like whispers and hints, and maybe
Uh,
if you like pause certain frames, you'll see like the outline of something going on. I don't know. That's pure conjecture. I don't really know. But there's no real like, oh, look at that pea coat. Like that's what's up. And
I
then you
like
gotta wonder how's he getting that stuff. He's not going to a Balenciaga or a Louis Vuitton. He's not rolling through Gucci, being like, "Oh, just put this on my card."
yeah,
Like,
I gotta go after sunset. Where's it online? I gotta return it. But the post office isn't open.
I gotta go to the Amazon Dropbox because I can go at night.
I love his jacket in the original Nosferatu. Orlok looks great.
Pretty slick.
All right, so I just want to run something by you here. In the Halloween franchise, so like
Mm-hmm.
in the first Halloween, there's a kitchen kill. In Halloween 2, Michael steals the knife while the lady's like, "You want mustard or mayo?" Walks away with that. In Halloween 2018, he or no ends. He no kills. He grabs the knife and kills the lady who he didn't kill in the first one, and then he also kills somebody on a kitchen island. In Halloween, there's a kitchen island trap door that they use.
That's right. Yeah.
In Halloween 4, Rachel's like, "Dad, I don't want to look like a fathead." She goes, "Mom, I'm on a diet. You want an oinker for a daughter?" And you have that line in Halloween. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Michael kills the boyfriend, his sister's boyfriend, in the kitchen. Like the
Mm-hmm.
Halloween H2O, there's a kitchen death, a long one. It's like 4 minutes long. A guy sticks his hand into a thing, a lady gets killed. Like there's a lot of kitchen action in the Halloween franchise. And I love that about it. And I love that this new Halloween franchise, Laurie has a trap door under a kitchen island. Michael kills somebody on a kitchen island. And then this film, it all ends on a kitchen island. So it's like, I feel like kitchen islands are kind of the theme of this latest trilogy.
Well, it's not only that, but it's what the kitchen island represents, right? It's you're having meals, people are around cooking food. It's a social time. There's so much kitchen work because they're in homes. They're
Yep.
in your home. You're in a comfy, cozy kitchen. The kitchen in the most recent films, they're nice,
Yeah, really nice.
but they're not over the top. They're not exaggerated. You could walk into your aunt and uncle's house or your grandparents and maybe see a kitchen that is very similar to that. I'm
Mhm.
watching that in my brother and sister-in-law. I'm like, man, that kitchen is very much like their kitchen. It's just such a relatable place that makes you feel homey and cozy and comfy. But now we're going to wreck that with violence.
And I think that's right. And Johnny Num said that too. Like there's some very nice domestic scenes in
Mm-hmm.
Halloween Ends. And you see Laurie in her kitchen living in amongst humans cooking and in the kitchen and in her island and
Mm-hmm.
in her happy place. And then this film ends with a large kitchen fight. And what's interesting too, it took a week to film. Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to make it, she didn't want it to be a movie fight. She wanted it to be a street brawl that was brutal, not fancy, and she wanted
Yeah,
it to be powerful. And then
I see
also
it.
too, like Laurie Strode's 62, Michael Myers is 65. So you have two people in their 60s who are still, badasses brawling in the kitchen. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the first one real quick. We won't like using quality products. Do you think how many stars would you give this? Because
For which one?
Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends. Okay.
Let's talk about the major big hubba bubba.
Okay.
Like I know in Halloween she uses a frying pan to knock him into the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets shot in the head because Judy Greer's like a goat. And then the other one, the guy just gets stabbed on an island. So let's sorry if I'm switching this up on you, but let's do ends and let's talk about she starts it off by setting off a microwave
Mm-hmm.
timer. Then there's a fire extinguisher. Then there's a face in a cabinet. There's a head smash into a fridge. There's a garbage disposal. I mean, kitchen knives are used. A pan is used to knock a knife into a hand. A fridge is used to trap Michael. What would you say? How many stars would you give this on the using quality products front?
This might be a little extreme. I kind of want to go for a 3, but
I agree.
another part of me also wants to go 2, and I'm torn. I love the fact that it's literally a tour of the kitchen. It's just showing you around the kitchen. They're using a knife, they're using a fire extinguisher. They're not getting too fancy, and they're not going to add food to the mix, which is kind of why I don't want to go full 3s. Part of me also wants to go 2 because in the the kitchen fights we've covered so far, we've seen red pepper flakes. We've seen broken bottles. This is a fight. There is no food or drink used. Yeah, the microwave goes off and there's something inside, but it's not like she grabs it and throws something hot on him.
Oh, my
Now,
eyes.
now if she goes to pull something out of the fridge and beats him with it, that's obviously going to be very hokey. But what's to stop her from finding a wine bottle, smashing it? And now she's got a little something that she could potentially cut him with. And if she's going for that street brawl style, that's a part of it. You're using what's around you as a weapon. And obviously they stick to the knives because that's kind of his thing. And she's using the pan to hammer it down because that just shows, hey, even though she's this old, she's still resilient. She still knows how to survive and protect herself with what she has around her. So I want to say a 3, but I can also, like, if I step back into a 2, I'm also okay with that.
I kind of want to give it to 3 because this is the only time I've seen a frying pan used to stick a knife into someone's hand on an island kitchen. Like, I've never seen that before. And the garbage disposal comes into play, which is nice. And that's very, like, everyone knows that experience. And Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about that. But you know what? I'm going to say 2. I don't think this is a 3er, but I'm going to get.
I will sway, and maybe this will sway you to a 3 because I'm just kind of remembering it now. When he goes to put her hand in the disposal, it's not like he shoves her hand in there and turns on the switch. No, he's making her turn it on.
Yeah,
and that adds a next level of, like, that is terrifying that someone's forcing you to turn it on and then making you do it.
Let's go 3. Let's do it. Let's go 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3 with you.
Because, I mean, she takes the pan and knocks the knife in. Like, that's incredible. And the fridge to trap his leg.
Yeah.
It's and you know, we can't expect Eco or JCVD. And so this fight's not even going to go that long between them. So I like, and also, like, his butcher knife is used to kill him. She uses that to kill him. And listen, I love a good microwave trick. Like, she dings him pretty good.
She get hardcore bonk with that fire extinguisher.
The only thing okay, let's go to the next category. Mastery of flavor and cooking techniques. My biggest flaw with this fight is how he keeps throwing her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like throws in movies. And I know that elongates the fight, but I don't know what it is about monster movies. I'm a werewolf. I see you, Nick. I could rip your head off. But instead, I throw you 30 feet and you get into an air duct. And I'm like, oh, man, I can't get you. Like, there happens in so many movies. So he keeps throwing her around. No, I love a good throw over a kitchen island, but it's just like, to smush her head. It's a feral fight. I get it, but I just don't like the throws. So when I say mastery of flavor and cooking techniques, I do think it's a very believable fight. I think it's a fun fight, but I don't like the throws. So that's the one thing keeping me from giving it ultimate scores.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not that it feels flawed in that way or bland in any way, but it's like, we've seen the throw, we've seen the knives. Can you do something a little bit different, but also stay true to the character? Because that's the thing. In this trilogy, he slams a lot of heads into a lot of walls and doors and windows and railings. That arm strength, very intense.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's a knife guy and he has his knives and he lets people know how good he is with a knife. But you got to be able to do something different about it. Right? You got to be able to throw. Maybe when you throw and she falls down, cut her ankle or something. Like, really cut something different that you haven't cut. Stab her in the knee and see what it does. Maybe you break the bone, maybe you don't. But just find something a little bit different. If you're going to play with her and toy with her before devouring her, if you know what I mean, then stab her a couple times elsewhere. He kind of does. He gets that knitting needle and just kind of crams that in there, and that's painful to look at. But why is he stopping?
Yeah, why is the knitting needle coming out?
Going all the way in there. Yeah. They could have pushed it a little bit further and been a little more inventive to an extent, but a little more intentional as well. Like, why am I sticking this in your ear? Is it to just mess with you? If I wanted to cause damage, again, why not just bang and it's in there? He's so strong. It would be nothing for him to shove that into her head.
Yeah, and she was holding him back. That was so. What do we want to give this? Do we want to? What do you think? What's the mastery of flavor in cooking? Does it get a star?
The kindness in me wants to say it too, but I think the realist in me is like a one. And I think that's being generous. But again, you kind of have to work within the realm of this character. If Mike Myers goes picking up a dish rag or something, it's going to look stupid. If he were to pick up some other kind of weapon like a pot or a pan, it's going to look weird. But sticking to the knife and these monstrous throws, you know,
He just never threw anybody in the first one. He just killed people in the first
it
one.
was just standing there creepily.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna give it a one. Okay. Now you want to know something interesting? The stunt coordinator on this, his name's Corey DeMyers. He works on like the Righteous Gemstones. He was the supervising stunt coordinator on that, and most recently he was the stunt coordinator on Rebel Ridge, which is awesome. So I love that movie. So I like that you have a guy who has worked with David Gordon Green before
And Danny
doing
McBride.
this. Yeah, and my man Danny McBride. I love it. Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, believe it or not, there are some pretty wild action scenes in the Righteous Gemstones. Like some
Yeah,
of the
there
stuff
are.
really caught me off guard. So
Yeah,
it kind of makes sense that that's who the guy they would bring in.
I love it. But yeah, I think he did a good job on this. And I mean, listen, you have two people in their 60s brawling. So I think it's about as good as possible. And they do find a way to get him trapped onto the island, which is what you need. So I like that. I like that. So
And
we'll
I've
go
never
with
seen anybody drop a fridge on somebody like that,
yeah, on
like
his
to pin
leg.
them down. Like I was pretty. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Okay. 3, personality of the chef and the cuisine. So like it's not really a Michael Myers brawl though. But I mean, if you think on 101 fights about Michael Myers, Buster Rhymes knocks him out. Lori in her fight in H2O. And the second one, she doesn't really fight him. 4, 5, and 6. I don't think there's too many big fights. He just sort of kills. In Halloween Ends, he fights Lori. Halloween Kills, he slaughters people. So
Relentlessly.
yeah, relentlessly.
He killed a town.
Yeah.
Like that's a bizarre statement to make. But if you see Halloween Kills, you're like, A, what a bunch of morons. What a bunch of true idiots. And then B, how is this possible that he killed a town? Killed a town. One by one, mind you. One by one.
So if he's a killer.
Yeah.
But Lori is a survivor, and she has shown guile in the first one. So she tricks him. That's a good thing because she kind of tricked him in Halloween. She busts the knives out. She shows him the knife when he's on there. She's not really messing around. She gets a little too close to him and gets choked. But I guess what's nice about this fight is we had seen that Corey kind of roughed up Michael earlier. We know that Lori is a survivor. And I think it's interesting how she uses everything at her disposal to get to him. So knitting needle, knives. So I think the personality of chef and the cuisine, I almost like the H2O one because she's more just like, I'm going to go on the hunt. But this one, she's scrappy and she's a survivor and she takes him on head on. And there's no spin kicks. It's very limited to what they have there. So if I'm going to say personality of the chef and the cuisine, I mean, it's not really a typical like if you think about violence in David Gordon Green movies, they're like Pineapple Express and Righteous Gemstones and the baseball. What's the baseball one? Oh, Tulsa, Eastbound and Down. It's really violent and like kind of crazy and silly. So for this one, what are you going to give it?
I think I want to give it a 1.
Yeah.
Because she is that survivor. Right. No, she is that survivor. Right. But then it's like at the very end of the fight, she doesn't want to be that anymore. And what would think if I'm about to kill this dude, I get to live a life now where he is no more. All that stress and pressure, all this stuff is just gone. I can live in a peace that I haven't had in years, potentially decades. But instead, she just wants to give up too. When like all of a sudden, bang, he's reaching out and she's like, do it. Like she's thinking about all the horrible things that have happened. And yeah, she's going to have to live with these memories. But there's also a peace in that she can't be hurt by this dude anymore. And it takes a third party to come running in. And I don't even think it's to knock sense into her. It's just, I know I should be saving this person. And then they intensely break an arm, which I don't think is possible for this character. But, what are you going to do? And then I don't know, it kind of loses some of that essence because it's like, why wouldn't that character follow through 100%? We get to right around that 90% and they just give up. What's up with that? Why that?
So then probably no stars because she had survived for decades and then she's like, I'm out.
Yeah, like, and it's the end for him. She got him on the ropes. He's done. And
Yeah.
then, you know what I mean? He's just rigor mortis stuck out trying to knock. And she's just like, yeah, okay. Like, not a
Interesting.
fan of that.
Okay. So let's give it a
That's
0.
got me thinking. Yeah, yeah, I would go 0.
Now, value for money. I didn't expect a kitchen fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets at least 1 star from me because watching this, I was like, I just watched a kitchen fight and it was great. So, I mean, I like this fight though, and I enjoy this fight. And I wasn't after the entire movie, like I like that Corey's gone and then she engages in this kitchen brawl with Michael. And I think it is important that that her granddaughter comes back into the fight. You know, that Allison helps because Allison's mom has been killed. So I think it's needed for Allison to be there to kind of get revenge on them. I'm just gonna say it 2 because I wasn't expecting a kitchen fight. So the value for the value for my money, like how much value did it give me? Like it shot up. So yeah, I'm gonna say it was a tasty treat, and I'm gonna give it 2.
I'll back you up on the 2, and I'll also add that there's just a lot of different methods of fighting. Yes, there's the pushing. Yes, there's the knives, the crocheting needles, trying to shove a hand into a garbage disposal, dropping a fridge on a dude, nailing knives into one's hand, making him look almost like a Christ-like figure the way it's going in the center and she's hammering it down. So there's that, intense symbolism there as well. There's just a lot of intensity. Have we ever seen so much slitting in a kitchen fight? Necks getting slit, wrists getting slit. It gets kind of hardcore. And to have all of those in there and make it believable and not be too over the top and walk that fine line. This is how old they are. They've been surviving this long. Michael's coming in with a handicap. Lori's doing her stuff too. To have all of that together and make it work, yeah, for the money and for the work they put into it, yeah, I would go 2.
I like it. Listen, anytime a kitchen fight happens, I'm happy. But anytime that you take a frying pan to use it to nail a knife into somebody's hand with the thing they use to kill people just makes me happy, even though it's very violent.
It's a weird poetic justice.
Yeah. So consistency of food. What are we going to say about this? Like what the franchise is not consistent. But the fight is it's always been ugly. It's ugly between them. Their first fight is ugly. If you think about remember their first fight, she just stabs him in the eye and she's running away.
Aggressive. Yeah.
Second one, she's just screaming because she's in a hospital bed, and then he has to get shot twice in the eyes. Halloween H2O, she gets the better of him, but he tricks her and he puts his mask on to a medic and she decapitates the wrong person. Oh, Michael. In Resurrection, she dies. Like she gets wiped out. So if you think about it, Loomis helps in the first one. So if you think about these films, she's never really had that KO victory over Michael. And this allowed her to have the KO victory. Like this allowed her to get the throat slit. They didn't disappear. They didn't leave him alone. So he goes away. They put him in a crusher. So it's nice that we get some finality on it. And it's nice that after fighting him in so many movies, we finally get that win for her. Because like Loomis saves her. And Andy, her granddaughter saves her. Sure, Allison. But they do it together. I think you need them to do it together. Loomis just kept coming in. So I'm going to say consistency of food. She gets the win. How consistent are the other fights? I don't know. What are you going to say? You might sway me. I don't know.
It is rather consistent in that they stick to what they know, slams and knives.
Yeah.
Right? We get a little creative with the fridge and the garbage disposal, but it's slams and it's knives. So there is a great consistency there. You talk about her trying to get this KO, and this might be the KO win. It's kind of not. It's not I would look at this as a TKO. It's technically a knockout type win. Because yes, he's finally dead for sure. Yes, it's by her hand, and she has the help of family that's been affected by him, right? But she has that moment where she's getting choked out, and she's like, yeah, take me out, dude. I'm done. There's just, and for me, that takes away from the tenacity. It takes away from the intensity to make it a KO. And I look at it as more of a TKO.
Oh, but okay, that makes sense. But at least she doesn't leave him alone and then he disappears.
Right.
Like
Or like turns around and say something, and then all of a sudden, oh no, he's gone. We somehow didn't hear him at all. Unblock himself from the knives and then get gone.
and she has her own moment in this movie where she disappears away from Corey without
Mm-hmm.
him even seeing her, which I would have loved to have seen, like her silently scoot away. But I think you're right. She almost gives up, but at least they get the throat slit, they get the throat slit, they get the wrist cut, but she does okay, so it's a TKO, but she gets to see the finale of it.
That's yes, which she didn't really has yet to do.
It's like you get a TKO win, but then the audience chops off the person's head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So what do you want to give it? What do you think?
I think I want to go 1.
1. Yeah, I think you know what? I'm gonna do it. Let's do 1. So our totals right now, I'm gonna look at it. We have 3, 1, 0, 2, 1. So we have 4, 6, 7, and then so it gets like we're giving it about 1.4 stars.
Okay, that seems about right. It's a 1.5 because there's so much potential to push it to that 2, but it doesn't quite hit it.
Nah, it's not a tour. You
But
know what
it's
I mean?
close.
Yeah, it's close. I like it. We did it. We
Sure
did it.
did. I'm proud of us.
Any final thoughts about Halloween Ends?
I think it's a film that I will eventually revisit. I don't know how soon. I'm also kind of confused with the overemphasis on the DJ and the radio station early on in the film. I'm like,
Yeah,
was this the Warriors? Like, what are we? We could do this with any other character. Why has it got to be this guy? But I think knowing what I know now about the trilogy, I might be able to appreciate it more and have a better understanding. I get why it's divisive, and I get why people liked it or didn't like it. I don't know where I fall on that. I think right now I'm just a hair like it's 55 dislike, 45 like.
that's fair.
It's somewhere in the middle. It's not like I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Don't see this. It's garbage. Well, I'm not saying that because there's a lot of things about it that are worth seeing. But as a Halloween film, because as soon as you put it in that world, you're like, well, now I have to compare it to the other ones. I have to, what the characters are, and they just all of a sudden, like we talked about earlier, these rules that aren't really there are there, but they're not. And so how do we judge things clearly and truly? Like it kind of gets a little muddled.
And listen, I love the character of Corey, and that performance is so good, and they get rid of him quick.
Mm-hmm,
like he
mm-hmm.
turns fast, and then they're done with him, and then it's back to whatever. So yeah, the DJ. I mean, this is not a movie that you make a movie like this, you're never going to have 100%, right?
Right.
I think there's going to be, like you said, 45, 55. And I guess for me, I lean more like 63, 37, just because of how
Okay.
gorgeous it looks. But I'll never not say that it's not flawed. If
Right.
that makes it's a flawed film
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of find very interesting and a little audacious, and it mostly works for
Mm-hmm.
me. But there's a lot that doesn't. But I don't know, man. When a movie looks so good, at least that was
Mm-hmm.
nice. I kept going, Megan, look at the shot. She's like, yeah, I'm watching.
I'm here.
Yeah. But hey, where can people find you before we get out of here?
People can find me over at rabbitholepodcasts.com. I'm on 2 programs there, Lyrical Innuendo and Play MST for Me. Both a lot of fun. Check those out. Also head over to Exploding Helicopter. Check out that podcast. I am a guest. I pop up every so often. I've had a lot of really fun conversations with Will lately about some intriguing films. I'll put it that way. And I'll let you guys go scooch over and figure out what we're talking about there exactly.
That's a good show right there. I like you too. But yeah, we did it. And I don't know what we're doing next, but I'm gonna let you pick it.
Okay.
So a lot
You
of
want me to pick
pressure.
it right now? Because I got no idea.
No. Just message me.
Gotcha.
Think.
Do it now. Oh gosh.
I'm trying to think of an urban legend. You're like, what?
Ooh,
right.
I got one immediately that came to my mind.
What?
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I think there's at least one. There might be 2 kitchen fights.
I mean, yes, let's do that. But I don't want to stick you in the kitchen fight thing. We can take breaks. So if there's ever a movie you want to chat about, let me know. I don't want to stick you in the kitchen. Like, Mark won't let me out of the kitchen.
Does it have an island?
Yeah, make me a sandwich, Nick.
Then I'm there.
Best island scenes in movies. Wait, like islands? No, kitchen island. All right, no, Ratatouille. That's really good. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm for it.
I'm sold. All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Nick Rehak, this is Movie Sons of Flicks. We'll see you next week.